Before and after, this tiny Paris apartment became a cozy dream home. There is something wonderfully Parisian about an apartment that asks you to slow down and look a little closer. This tiny home may not have generous square footage, sweeping hallways, or room for oversized furniture, but it has something equally valuable: character. At first glance, though, the space feels cramped, slightly tired, and unsure of what it wants to become. Today, we are going to follow its transformation from an awkward little apartment into a warm, inviting home that proves comfort has very little to do with size. Before the makeover, the apartment had the familiar challenges of many older Parisian studios. Furniture seemed to compete for every available inch, the walking paths were narrow, and several areas felt visually disconnected. Nothing was necessarily terrible on its own, but together the choices made the apartment feel smaller than it actually was. This is an important lesson in small space design. Sometimes the problem is not the square footage. It is the way that square footage is being used. The original interior still carried hints of old Parisian charm, including traditional proportions, architectural details, and that slightly imperfect character that makes historic apartments so appealing. But charm can easily become clutter when too many decorative elements compete for attention. The goal was never to erase the apartment's personality. Instead, the makeover would need to uncover it. That distinction matters, especially in an older home where the imperfections are often part of what makes the space special. When people see a tiny apartment, their first instinct is often to ask, "Where could you possibly put anything?" But experienced designers tend to ask a different question. What does this space need to do? That change in thinking can completely alter the result. Instead of trying to squeeze a miniature version of a large home into this apartment, the design focused on creating a home that worked naturally at its own scale. The first major improvement came from simplifying the room. Pieces that blocked movement or added little practical value were reduced or repositioned. This did not mean turning the apartment into a cold, empty box. It meant giving the important pieces enough breathing room to be appreciated. In a small room, every object becomes part of the architecture. Remove unnecessary visual noise, and suddenly the walls seem farther apart. The floor appears larger, and the entire apartment begins to breathe. The new color palette was deliberately gentle. Rather than relying on stark white everywhere, the design introduced warm neutrals, muted creams, soft beige tones, and subtle natural shades. These colors reflect light without making the apartment feel clinical. They also create the relaxed atmosphere associated with traditional Parisian interiors. For a viewer considering a small space makeover at home, this is a useful reminder. Bright does not necessarily mean brilliant white. Warmth can make a compact room feel much more welcoming. One of the most beautiful changes is the way the walls become part of the story. Instead of treating them as blank surfaces, the makeover allows architectural character and carefully chosen decoration to work together. A simple piece of artwork, a vintage-inspired mirror, or a thoughtfully positioned wall detail can add personality without consuming precious floor space. In a tiny apartment, walls are not just boundaries, they are opportunities. The furniture selection became much more intentional after the transformation. Rather than filling the room with numerous small pieces, the design relies on fewer items that perform meaningful roles. A compact sofa becomes both a comfortable place to sit and an anchor for the living area. A slim table provides function without creating a visual obstacle. This is one of the most practical lessons from the apartment. In a small home, furniture should earn its place. One of the cleverest ideas is the creation of separate living zones without adding permanent partitions. In a tiny studio, building walls can make an already small space feel even tighter. Instead, subtle changes in furniture placement, lighting, rugs, and visual direction can tell the eye where one activity ends and another begins. Suddenly, the apartment can feel like several rooms even though it remains one continuous space. After the transformation, the living area feels much more intentional. Instead of looking like furniture happened to land wherever there was room, everything now appears connected. Seating encourages conversation, the surrounding colors feel calm, and decorative details add personality without overwhelming the room. This is where the apartment begins to feel less like a clever storage exercise and more like a genuine home. Somewhere you could actually imagine spending a quiet Sunday afternoon. Light plays an enormous role in how we perceive a small room. The makeover makes better use of whatever natural light the apartment receives, keeping the area around the windows visually open and avoiding unnecessary heavy elements. Light-colored surfaces help reflect that brightness deeper into the room. It is a simple principle but an important one. You cannot add square footage with sunlight, yet good lighting can make the square footage you already have feel considerably more generous. kitchen may be compact, but the transformation gives it a stronger visual identity. Instead of treating the kitchen as something that needs to disappear, the design allows it to belong naturally to the apartment. Storage becomes more organized, surfaces remain visually calm, and practical items are kept within reach without creating clutter. This is especially useful in a studio because the kitchen is always visible. When it looks organized, the entire apartment feels more organized. Storage is often where tiny apartments succeed or fail. The makeover takes advantage of spaces that might otherwise be ignored, including vertical areas and less obvious corners. The lesson is not simply to add more cabinets. It is to make storage easier to use and easier to maintain. When everyday belongings have a logical home, the apartment can stay peaceful. And in a small room, that sense of order has an enormous visual impact. Creating a comfortable sleeping area in a studio can be surprisingly difficult. The solution here is not necessarily complete separation, but a feeling of retreat. The bed area becomes visually quieter, with softer textures and fewer distractions. Even without a traditional bedroom door, the space begins to feel personal. That is a valuable idea for anyone living in an open-plan home. Privacy can sometimes be created through atmosphere rather than construction. Rather than adding more objects to make the apartment feel cozy, the makeover uses texture. Soft upholstery, natural-looking materials, layered fabrics, and subtle finishes give the rooms depth. This is an especially effective strategy for small interiors because texture creates richness without demanding much physical space. A room does not need dozens of decorations to feel luxurious. Sometimes one beautifully textured chair or a carefully chosen throw can accomplish more than an entire shelf of accessories. What makes this transformation particularly appealing is the balance between old and new. The apartment does not attempt to become a museum of Parisian antiques, nor does it abandon its heritage for a completely modern aesthetic. Instead, vintage-inspired character sits comfortably beside contemporary functionality. That combination feels authentic. After all, a home should reflect the life happening inside it, not simply imitate a photograph from another era. One of the biggest changes is not something you immediately notice. It is the improved flow through the apartment. There are clearer pathways, fewer awkward obstacles, and a more natural relationship between the different areas. This is the kind of improvement that may not look dramatic in a single photograph, but you would certainly feel it while living there. Good design is often experienced through movement rather than decoration. And this brings us to the magic of the before and after transformation. No one knocked down walls to create an enormous new floor plan. The apartment did not physically grow. Instead, the design changed the way the existing space was perceived. Better proportions, lighter colors, purposeful furniture, improved storage, and clearer visual zones worked together to create the impression of additional space. It is a reminder that sometimes the smartest renovation is the one that changes perception. The transformed apartment feels cozy because it is no longer fighting itself. Every element seems to support the next one. The furniture fits the scale, the colors connect the rooms, the lighting creates warmth, and the decoration has room to breathe. There is still personality, but there is less competition. That balance is what makes a small home feel comfortable rather than crowded. There is a deeper design lesson here that goes beyond this particular apartment. Parisian interiors often succeed because they embrace atmosphere rather than perfection. A room can be elegant without looking formal, can be old without looking outdated. It can be small without feeling deprived. The secret is knowing what deserves attention. Instead of asking how to make a tiny home look expensive, perhaps the better question is how to make it feel meaningful. You do not need a Paris address to use these ideas. Look around your own home and identify the things that interrupt movement, create unnecessary visual noise, or occupy space without providing much value. Consider whether your furniture is correctly scaled. Look at your lighting. Look at the walls. Then ask yourself whether the room reflects how you actually live today. These small questions can lead to surprisingly significant improvements, even without a major renovation budget. Perhaps the most encouraging part of this makeover is that it does not depend on excess. The apartment becomes more beautiful by becoming more intentional. Instead of adding something every time a corner feels empty, the design asks whether that corner actually needs anything. Instead of hiding every trace of age, it allows character to remain. And instead of chasing trends, it builds an environment that feels comfortable enough to enjoy for years. Looking back at the original space, the transformation feels almost like watching the apartment exhale. The walls have not moved, yet the rooms feel calmer. The ceiling has not risen, yet the interior feels more open. The apartment has not suddenly become luxurious in the traditional sense, yet it feels far richer because it has gained something more important: harmony. That is what turns a small apartment from a place where you simply fit your belongings into a place where you genuinely want to live. So, what can we take away from this tiny Paris apartment? A dream home does not require a huge floor plan, an unlimited budget, or a complete renovation. It requires thoughtful choices, patience, and an understanding of how people actually live. The before and after transformation proves that even the most cramped space can become warm, elegant, and deeply personal. And perhaps that is the most Parisian lesson of all. Beauty is not about having more space. It is about making the space you have feel completely, wonderfully yours.
Mm-hmm.